Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. It's a special year-end edition of the France 24 debate. We're looking at the changing world of French wine in the company of sommelier Alexis Hudon, who's brought us a couple of bottles today. We'll show those in a minute. We'll first say hello to the rest of the panel. Alexis Hudon, who comes from the Loire Valley domain of Lise and Bertrand Jousset.
Yes.
Originally from Quebec City.
Originally from Quebec City.
Okay.
I met the couples in Paris in wine fair. So they proposed me to work for the domain. So I've been there for more than 1 year right now. And right now in school, so they pushed me to go to school to learn about making wine.
It's a real craft, a real trade.
Yes.
Marie-Dominique Bradford comes from a long line of vintners. And she is her 3x20 online tasting service is how you're able to, what is it, every month, every couple of weeks?
Every month, people...
So it is really wine of the month.
Oh, yeah,
club.
it's exactly the same.
Wow.
Yeah. People
Amazing.
get wines and discover things they would never find any other way.
Olivier Magny, the founder of Ohshit. Ohshit brings people from around the world for circuits, right?
Well, we do. We have we have daily wine tasting classes in English in the center of Paris. So that's the core of activity. We also have what I think is probably one of the greatest wine bars in Paris. Might be slightly biased. And we do indeed do little wine tours. We take people to Champagne.
What's the most popular destination? Is it Champagne?
Champagne.
Yeah.
It's close. You know,
Right.
hour and a half, boom.
Burgundy's not far, neither is the Loire Valley.
A little further. The tiny differences.
All right. France 24's Florence Villeminot, the host of our French Connections show.
That's right.
Is also with us.
No expert, but just a fan of wine.
No expert, but a consumer.
Absolutely.
All
In
right.
moderation.
All right, in moderation. Alexis Hudon, I'll leave you the floor, as it were.
Okay.
So if when you're tasting a wine, what are the things that matter?
Normally at first normally it's the color. You begin with the look. You look about how it's look.
So which is this one that you've just poured?
So this one, it's so there is two wine of the domain. So Exudate's grape that we buy. Because you heard about
11 hectares you have, which is small.
11 hectares, yeah, 11 hectares. They begin in 2012 to buy some grape because it was a really bad year. So they lost almost everything because of I think it's the grêle. So
Hailstones.
hails, yes. So they begin that to survive. So,
By the way, they say 2016 is going to be a bad year in terms of quantity.
It's around the same. So we lost
because we had a lot of rain at the beginning of the year.
So it's freezing in the spring freezing. So that just at the spring we lost like 85% of all all before it grows. So it's
and what's the quality like of the wine that's going to remain?
But they're really good. This year is really good because there is a lot of water, a really hot summer, and after the really a beautiful back season in September. So it's really beautiful. So in Loire region, we in Vouvray, in Montlouis and Vouvray, just in front, there is a lot of Botrytis cinerea. So it's pourriture noble in French. So it's a little mushroom that's put on the grape and is dehydrated the berry. So it's concentrate everything. So when this year there is a lot on 16 there is a lot of Botrytis. So pretty beautiful vintage.
That is so amazing that with wine is you some years you read, oh, it's a terrible year, it's too cold, it's too whatever, and then those last 2-3 weeks before the harvest,
The last month makes the whole year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so tell us. So this wine is.
So yes, this one is a grape that we buy. So it's a blend of half and half. So Chenin from Montlouis and Chardonnay that we pick up in the just in the other region. So in the Loire-et-Cher. So but we pick up the grape and we do all the transformation as the same. So without yeast, without sugar, without anything. So just a little bit of sulfite, just a little bit. So to maybe just clean a little bit the juice. And
Sort of fixate it a bit like you
no, to sulfite. So in the beginning, so it really like
to stabilize it.
It's not stabilized. It will clean a little bit the bad bacteria that you don't want, or the bad yeast that you don't want, and it will like just to kill the bad one and keep the good one.
Okay, hand this bottle over because I don't want to get up and knock everything over in an expensive studio. Hand it over to Florence because I want Florence to read the label for us.
Okay.
Okay, well, what's
It's
incredible...
written in French. What
written
do
in
you look
French.
for in a label?
Well, first of all, you look for the name, obviously, of the wine, but also the year, because that, of course, will tell you whether or not it was a good year. This one is 2015. You can see it up here. You also have the alcohol content, which can be quite important when you're choosing your wine.
What are we looking at here?
This is 13%, which is quite high, no? For,
Quite high, yeah.
For
15
For Loire Valley, yeah.
Yeah, so there is a lot of beverages on the Chenin, so a lot of high potential of the alcohol, like the Greece.
And then you have the name of the grapes that were used to make the wine. So you
Which
have,
didn't always used to be the
Chenin.
case in France.
Was it not the case?
It's not always the case.
Except
So
in
there
Alsace,
is,
everywhere
there is-
else
Yeah,
was
there is.
Still illegal in some regions.
Yes.
Still illegal. That's
Yeah, that's fine.
again
put on the
we're talking
label.
about how everything's about the law.
Yeah.
This one is
The label police is never too far away.
This one is produced in Vente France, so we Lise and Bertrand didn't want it to get into anything appellation d'origine contrôlée, because it's really like a simple wine, really fresh, good, and they didn't want it to because it's
In Burgundy, it was a big fight to get the grape variety on the label
on
because-
the regional appellations.
so that
Bourgogne.
people who drink wine abroad could understand what was in the bottle.
That's right.
Now it's required.
Yeah.
When
on
it's
the
an
regional.
when it's an appellation d'origine contrôlée, which is like a trademark for that specific
That's exactly it.
region
An
or vineyard,
an
et cetera.
AOC, as it's called, is a trademark.
That's right. And in that case, you have to say what kind of grapes, and there's a whole set of rules for making that kind of wine.
Okay, what else does that bottle tell you?
You also have the name of the people who made the wine, which is very important. That's kind of like their signature, I guess you could say. And then this you might notice this on all French bottles. It's a little pregnant woman with slashed out, because you're not supposed to drink when you're pregnant, of course.
Yeah.
You also have this one says it contains sulfite, so sulfur.
because it's an obligation because it's allergen.
Oh yeah, you can be an allergy for
Yeah.
people. And that's about it. That's everything you need to know right here on the bottle.
All right, let's. If I could ask you to come back, Alexis, and pour the second bottle, and tell us what this one is.
And the second one, it's one of the well-known cuvées of the domain, so it's Premier Rendezvous. This one, it's a little bit more special one because it's coming from really longer aging bottle, aging in oak and after in tank because we don't want it to like really oaky feeling. We just want a fruit. We just want it has been.
Yeah,
really
too much.
fresh.
Sometimes you do taste too much the casket and not enough the wine.
A little bit, yeah. It's like a little bit of makeup around that.
Now tell me, because the color, for the naked eye, they look almost identical.
They look a little bit almost identical. It's not the same vintage. So 14 it was a little bit fresher. For 15 it's like more heavy. So
Robust.
Yeah, robust. Yeah, it's a little bit more gold or yellow gold or yellow straw. This one it's more with a little bit of hint of green and but it's still a lot of
See, that's-
yellow gold.
So that's amazing. So sometimes the wine that is younger tastes older. In other words.
Maybe could be, but this one aged a longer time, so we lost a little bit of color. It's there is a transformation inside the tank and inside the hope. So.
All right, Alexis, the tasting of it. That honor will fall upon Marie-Dominique Bradford. Come over to this side, please. So 2 wines here.
We have 2 wines. They do almost look identical.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 1 year apart is not too much to really change the color. If they were 5 years apart, then you would really have a difference in color.
Tell us about the concept of, you see people swish the glass
Yeah,
around. Why do
people-
they do that?
There's a reason behind it. It's not just to look like they know something about wine. The main reason is that oxygen helps the aromas rise up to the top of the glass. So if you smell like this or that, you get one impression. And then if you swirl, you create a mini tornado inside the glass, and before the tornado goes back down, you smell it again, and then you realize that the oxygen has really helped all the aromas say something. In that case, it's quite an expressive wine. It's not a neutral, discrete wine. This one is even more expressive because, like you said, it has the oak treatment, which added aromas to it. And you said also, you mentioned something about botrytis. So it also has
There was a bit.
additional aromas that came from the grape, the botrytis, that special mushroom you were talking about that adds maturity to the grapes, and the oak. So that's 3 different things that combined bring more aromas. And then you have to taste it.
Well,
After, should I?
it's a tough job, huh?
It is a tough job, but it's a very nice job that Louise and Bertrand did. Half Chardonnay, half Chenin. Chardonnay brings roundness and kind of fat, a certain fattiness, buttery character to the wine. And Chenin is probably in the blend what brings acidity. Acidity is not it's not a swear word in wine, ever. Acidity is the structure of the wine, and without that, just like us, without a skeleton, we would fall. Same with the wine, and I can tell that the Chenin brings length and a certain saltiness to the wine, and that's like a rubber band that you pull, the acidity. Huh? You pull, and all of a sudden, you let go, and then that's the end of the persistence. So it
that's how
kind
you
of
know.
develops.
That's how you know how long you can keep it.
Absolutely. Yes, because of the acidity. That's the complexity of the aromas. Even though they're bought grapes, it's very well defined and very refined, and that also helps to know what kind of aging potential you can have.
All right, and just briefly to compare with the second.
And then the second one. They are very different.
Really?
So-
And now hold on, before you answer, hold that thought.
Okay.
I know sometimes like you have a little piece of bread or something when you're at a wine tasting, so that you can sort of clear, because it's hard to concentrate on.
Well, it's
Right,
our
it's your job,
everyday
it's your job,
life. So if we
and as we said, it's a tough job. But how do
Yes.
you know it's very different?
with or without bread.
No, but what makes these two different?
They don't have the same density. The second one has more richness. You can tell the grapes were riper when they were harvested, and also I suppose the fermentation in oak barrels also added extra concentration and complexity. So they're tasted in the right order because the second one is more complex than the first one. And
You always start with the lighter, and
always
then
start
you
with the
graduate
lighter,
to
the simpler, and then you
Right.
you upgrade little by little to the more complex
Makes sense.
one.
Makes sense. Marie-Dominique Bradford, many thanks.
thank you.
Let me ask a question, Olivier Magny. When you do tastings, is there groupthink? Someone will say something, and they'll just be sort of this power of persuasion because that person has a strong personality, basically.
Completely. Herd mentality, full on. No, absolutely. They're every tasting there's a group, and somebody say, "Oh, strawberry." Oh yeah, strawberry, and then people say, "Oh, raspberry." But we are influenced. We're influenced by other people, just like we're influenced by all the other factors that surround us. The light. Are you hungry? Are you mad? Are you upset? Is your boss really annoying? All these things affect. Wine tasting is something that resonates deeply inside of you, and that's what makes it exciting, because it's a one-off, you know, and it's an invitation to enjoy that very wine, that very moment. I'm telling you, the taste of these wines is going to be very different if you have it at different temperature, when you're not working with a camera sitting in front of you.
Tell me about it.
This is going to change, right? And so I think that's what's so great about wine, is this invitation to fully make the very moment you're living yours.
Okay, now in part one, we discussed what's the trend in terms of how we want our wine grown, et cetera, et cetera. What's the trend in terms of the actual taste? What is the taste as we head into 2017 that people want?
Well, that's a tough one, but I would say it depends who you're looking at. Indeed, in places like Paris, there's this trend for natural wine, which I think also corresponds.
But what does that taste like?
It tastes a little funny. It tastes a little funny. And I'll tell you, people who are a little more seasoned drinkers don't necessarily love these natural wines, because they come with certain characteristics that technically could be identified as flaws. But that also is a... It responds to the changing sociology of Paris, where you have all these hipsters, young people, new drinkers, don't have a whole lot of experience, taste something that's really weird and funky. Well, that's got to be authentic. Well, if you have people that have been drinking wine for 30 or 40 years, this is terrible. So you gotta, and that's the role of people.
But who's wrong? I mean, neither one's wrong, right? Because otherwise, it sounds like you're siding with the snobs here.
No, it's not the snobs. It's just a matter of, let's say, who is needed in that chain is the intermediary, is the person selecting the wine. It's the Trois Fois Vins, the Ohshit, is the person making the selection for the clientele. You know, if your clientele is only hipsters, they want super funky wines, hey, let's make it happen. If you're dealing with people that want a bit of, you know, something classical, a bit of a mix, then you help them. But so it's good. We have 75,000 wineries in France. So if you don't have somebody who's going to do the homework to help pick the wines that's going to make you and you and you happy, because we all have different palates, different experiences. So that's why Marie-Dominique is very helpful in what she does.
Alexis Hudon, when you go to a vintner, you know, you have this sort of picture in our mind of the French chateau or whatever, or some what is it? There's in some cases wines that have been there since the Romans or whatever. Or do you have to sort of adapt to fads? Like, what do you know that something is a winner, that this is the right direction to go? Or do you sometimes perhaps make your wines taste a certain way and that taste only lasts 1 year?
No, because there is like a vintage notion that we have to take part in making wine. So operation that we can do on 1 year and we cannot do on the other years, because there is the grapes are different, the vintage was different, and everything is different. So you cannot apply like a recipe each year. So 1 year you can do like without sulfate or without anything, because grape were beautiful, and the other years there is really something that's really hard to make like beautiful natural wine without anything. Because I agree a little bit with what you said, because wine before to be like natural must be wine. I agree that some natural wine is a little bit more funkier. They respond to like a way of thinking, a way of changing wine in France. So people that want to do something different, they don't want to do appellation because it's a little bit more
restraining.
Restraining, and in some appellation, there is people don't understand what the natural or the organic or the biodynamical guys or winemaker want to do, and they just like stigmatize. So okay, you do like natural wine, and so you don't do wine. So it's not true. So I think we have to discuss each other and to learn a little bit more what's the other do and what's the other do, and after like make a big difference in the wine industry.
Is it a battle that you see unfolding?
A battle? I don't think it's a battle. We're all either selling wine, producing wine, or selecting wines, or sharing wine. That's what wine's about. So I think there's different.
No, between this is important. What Alexis is talking about. He's talking about the actual way that you grow the stuff, and saying, well, do you follow these really constraining rules, which have made the success of France? We said it at the outset. Or do I choose the path of a little bit more freedom, but perhaps...
I think both can live together.
All right.
Really, they really can.
The tastes change fast. The wine may be changing fast, and it may be changing fast for reasons that nobody in this room can control. The heat is on. Example, Florence was talking about 13% wine. The Entre-deux-Mers region of Bordeaux, which in French means between the two seas, there you see it on the map, that little red bit there at the bottom, now has wines that are no longer your standard 12.5% alcohol, but closer, Florence, to 14.
That's right, and it's not just in the Bordeaux region where this is happening. Right across France, climate change is altering the way grapes are when they're supposed to be harvested. With warming climates, for instance, it means that the grapes ripen faster. And the harvest typically takes place at the end of September, at the beginning of October. But these days, they're harvesting earlier and earlier to try and capture the grape at its peak. So you have warming climates. You also have crazy weather, though. That's also another consequence of climate change. You were talking about the frosting, for instance, that we experienced in the spring. There has also been droughts that were a lot more extreme than they have been in the past. So climate change is affecting a lot of the ways the grapes are grown. And actually, the scientists are trying to pay closer attention to this and figure out how to, when is the right time to pick grapes. And I pulled out a soundbite. This is from Serge Delraux. I guess you could say he's a wine scientist who talks about just how climate change alters what happens in a grape. Let's listen.
The sugar level in the grapes is higher, and so the level of alcohol in the wine tends to increase. There's a loss of acidity and problems with the aromatic aging, because the grapes ripen in periods of the year that are hotter than they were 20 or 30 years ago.
So this is happening here in France. It's also happening elsewhere in Europe. For instance, we've seen the south of England that's starting to be quite an attractive place to make wine these days. People right on the edge of the channel are starting to make wines that are very similar to champagne. In fact, there've been blind tests where famous wine tasters have tasted them and they can't really tell a difference. So there could be, it's bad for French wines. It could be good for English wines in the future, though.
It's true. It's true. I've experienced such tastings, blind tastings, and actually there's the soils are very similar, and with a warmer climate, Champagne is cold. Huh? Champagne is the most northern vineyard in France, so it's cold, and there's a vein of limestone that goes from Champagne all the way to England, like a ridge-shaped limestone, just like in Champagne. So there's been a lot of investments from people in
So
Champagne.
you're saying is good news for the English.
Yes.
But how about the parts of southern France, like Bordeaux and even Burgundy?
It's every vineyard experiences this riper. They have to deal with
Is French wine as we know it in danger?
I wouldn't think so. No, it's
Still
not
find
in
ways of
danger.
adapting.
No, of course.
There
you
is
can.
a lot of work in the wine region in every region. They search for solution about that. It's really actual problem that every professional in the enologist world was working on it. So they want to change some cultural habits. They want to change some maybe some grapes, or some
rootstocks.
Yeah.
When we know that 16 of the last 17 years have been the hottest years on record, are you find yourself picking the grapes earlier than before?
It depends. It depends. So on 2013, it was like horrible, and 14 there is another problem. It was like it was not the hot water. It was like small flies that turned grapes into vinegar. In 15 it was like pretty hot, and this year it's like a mix of everything. This year, so this year is like really crazy.
Playing with nature is difficult, huh?
Yes.
Olivier Magny, you agree with Marie-Dominique that French wine will always be French wine, or is climate really something that worries you?
Well, I believe French wine will be French wine, and that France will remain France. And even though there's going to be changes, it's not they're going to stop. Not going to stop at the border, right? So everybody's going to change. So the diversity you have in France, I think, is going in the right direction. We're going towards more diversity. The lightness, which is somehow characteristic of French wine, comparatively is going to remain. Is it going to be as light and as fresh as it has been? Probably not. On the upside,
But it'll be comparative to the whole rest of the planet.
correct. And on the upside, this extra strength, robustness, generosity, slightly higher alcohol that is a consequence of more sunshine and therefore more concentrated grapes is a style of wine that is very much liked and appreciated throughout the world. So there's an upside to that story. Should we try to fight the causes? Absolutely. But not everything is collapsing.
Not everything is collapsing indeed, and we'll raise a glass to 2017. I want to thank you very much, Olivier Magny, Marie-Dominique Bradford, Alexis Hudon, Florence Villeminot. Thank you for joining us here for this special year-end edition of the France 24 debate.